I wanted to continue my look at macroeconomics for business and the different data sources that they use and include in the chapters, and how you can look at that to update the information and get a better understanding of current macroeconomic data. In the last video, we looked at the BEA website. Today, we're going to look at the FRED website. So let's skip ahead in the book to page 23. And we'll see here figure 1.3, growth rates of GDP and real GDP. And you can see that they got it from the FRED website. And there's more information down here. FRED is a website put out by the St. Louis Fed, and it has a lot of useful economic data. Helpfully, in the graph, it gives us the codes that FRED uses. So you might want to write these down, because it's an easy way to find the same variables that they use. In instances where you don't have the codes, you can always search for variables and look to see what is available and what might meet your needs. But let's hop into the FRED website. Again, here is the landing page. And hopefully you wrote down the codes from the book. And I'm just going to type those in right here. So it's A191, R, that's an O, 1Q, 156, and BEA. And I'm going to hit enter. And that's going to come up with real gross domestic product. So I'm going to click on that. And it's going to give me this graph. Now you might notice a couple things different about this graph. Let's click back into the book. 1, this is a bar graph. 2, it doesn't go back as far. So those are things that we would adjust. And there's also 2 variables that are graphed on this graph. So let's add the second variable first. Scroll down a little bit. I'm going to come over here to edit graph. I'm going to add a line. The other code was A191 RP1A027 and BEA. And it's going to come up gross domestic product, annual percent change from preceding period. Now, one of the things you might notice, this is annual. We're going to add that data series. And you're going to see it show up on the graph. This is annual. We're going to come back into our line 1. You can do that just by clicking on edit lines, edit line 1. Notice our frequency here is quarterly. So I'm going to make it annual so that our data matches. Now we still have the line graph, not the bar graph. So to fix that, I'm going to come up here to format. And right here at graph type, I'm just going to make it a bar graph. Okay. Now you might look at this and think, wow, there's a lot more data, as I mentioned here, than what was in the book. The book only goes back to 2007. So we're going to change our date range right here. You can do it by typing in, or you can use the arrows to pick the year. I'm just going to use the arrows, and I'm going to come up to 2007. There's the graph. Up here, I have the option to download. I can download it as data, as an Excel, a CSV, or I can download the graph, the picture of the graph. I can download it as an image. It can come into a PowerPoint, or it can come into a PDF. Okay, let's look at another graph from the FRED website. Here we have U.S. real GDP growth, figure 1.4. Again, it gives us the code. And so I'm just going to come back to the FRED website, picking up right from where I was, but I'm going to search for the new one. You'll see that it creates a new graph. It's not going to add it to the graph that I currently have. To do that, I would want to go to Edit Graph and then add a line. But I'm going to type in my code, A191 RL 1A225 BEA. And that's going to give me gross domestic product, percent change in real gross domestic product, And now I have that, which looks very similar to this. One important thing to note on these Phred graphs, very helpful, these shaded areas indicate periods of recession. So you can look at these graphs and see, well, with how we define a recession, they should all pretty much have a point where GDP growth is negative. In some cases, it just gets really close to zero, but it was enough to call it a recession. But these shaded areas line up with negative periods of economic growth. Now, it doesn't just do this on GDP graphs. It does this for all of the graphs, so it helps us to see and get a sense of what goes on with these variables during periods of expansion or during periods of recession. So I encourage you to get into the Phred website, look around. Like I said, if you have codes, it's very convenient. You can also search by name of variables, and a lot of different options will come up, and you can pick through them to see specifically what you want.